Work breakdown structures. This is the foundation of all further planning. So we started with requirements, then we baseline those requirements into scope, and then the scope gets decomposed into a work breakdown structure, and the work packages gets decomposed further into activities, and we sequence those activities based on their dependencies and arrive at the project schedule. So we started with requirements collection, then we defined the scope, then the scope, now we are decomposing the scope into a work breakdown structure, and the work breakdown structure gets decomposed, the work packages, which is the lowest level in the work breakdown structure, those gets decomposed into activities, and based on the dependencies of the activities we sequence them, and then we arrive at the schedule. So this is the sequence. As discussed, the scope gets decomposed into a work breakdown structure, and it is a deliverable oriented grouping of work. That means it doesn't show you any sequencing of work, it is just a breakup of work. So, the lowest level in the WBS is known as work packages. So this is level 0, level 1, level 2 and level 3. So below this there is nothing. So level 3 is a work package. This is also a work package. This is a work package. This is a work package. This is a work package because there is nothing below this. So this is a work package. This is also a work package. This is a work package. This is also a work package because there is no level below it. So the lowest level in the work breakdown structure is known as the work packages. And when we decompose the scope into a work breakdown structure, by the time we reach level 3 or 4 or 5, we'll start seeing sometimes, okay, we'll be in a dilemma like when to stop. Either we decompose it too much. If we decompose it too much, we end up with activities. If we decompose very less, then enough granularity will not be there. So there is a guideline called a thumb rule called 880 rule. That is, work packages must be between 8 hours and 80 hours chunks of work. 8 hours means I should be able to complete it in a day's time, a day or a 2 or a 3. Or 80 hours means, okay, we should be able to complete it in at least 10 days time, around 10 days time. So if the project is small, the work package's size should be small, and if the project is very large, the work package size should be big. So for small projects, if you have very large work packages, then the monitoring and controlling will be affected because only in 10 days time a status change will be displayed or status will change, and if the project duration itself is very low, that will be problem. At the same time, for a very large project, if you decompose it into 2 low levels like 8 hours kind of thing, then we may end up doing micromanagement. Sorry. So this work package sizing is very, very important when we see it from the angle of progress monitoring and control. Whenever we do a WBS, we will not know where to stop. At that time, this 880 rule comes in very, very handy. You can violate it because this is a guideline. A project like a Burj Khalifa, which is the tallest tower in the world, even 80-hour work packages can be very small. So it has to be, the work package sizing should be much higher than 80 hours, or Dubai World or Dubai Palm or whatever. So very large projects, okay, you can exceed this, and very small projects maybe you can go below 8 hours also. And the rule of thumb is work packages should be between 8 hours and 80 hours of sizing. That comes in very handy when you really develop work packages. In a project there should be only one work in a project there should be only one work package, one WBS. You cannot have multiple work breakdown structure for each project. Every project should have only just one WBS. It should contain all the project's work scope. That is known as 100% rule. That means if there should be one-to-one mapping between the baseline scope and the work breakdown structure, because once the WBS is done, our entire work will be based on the WBS. So if something is there in the scope document and if it is not captured in the WBS, in the final product, most probably that missed out scope will not be there. So that's why we are advocating this 100% rule. Whatever is there in the final scope document must be there in the WBS also, and the project should have only one WBS. The WBS establishes the project baseline for performance measurement and control. As I said earlier, this is the backbone for, once the WBS is done, that is the foundation for all further planning. It will be the common reference for both internal or external project reporting. It's a great communication tool. If you want to explain the scope of the project to any stakeholder, a WBS is an excellent tool for explaining the scope of work to any other stakeholder. Now here we have another sample WBS. A WBS can be represented either in a tree structure or in the form of a list structure, and this is the tree structure. So here level 0, in this case, okay, this is at a program level. Then at a level 1, building 1 is a project and building 2 is a project, and building 1 gets expanded further into design and construction, and in the design we have architectural, structural, steel, mechanical and electrical. Then within architectural, masonry, windows and doors, and construction you have concrete, structural steel and architectural. So this is an example for a work breakdown structure in the tree format. Here it is level 0 where the decomposition is very less. Level 1 has better decomposition. Level 2 it gets decomposed further, and by the time we reach levels 3, 4, 5, there is we'll start seeing the project falling into that 880 rule. That means we have sufficient, we'll arrive at sufficient granularity by the time we reach level 3, 4 and 5. This is the same thing converted into a list structure. So a WBS can be represented either as a tree structure or as a list structure, and each work package in the WBS is supplemented with a WBS dictionary. That means we provide additional information about that particular work, that is known as a WBS dictionary. It will have a narration of the work to be done, the successors, predecessors, assumptions, risk factors, specifications, and references to any quality guidelines and stuff like that. So we discussed about the WBS. The first point we discussed is we discussed the sequence, the requirements, the scope baselining, and the scope gets decomposed into a work breakdown structure, and the work packages gets decomposed further into activities, and the activities get sequenced, and we develop the schedule. In a project, there should be only one work breakdown structure. A work breakdown structure doesn't give a sequence of events, it just gives the breakup of work. The lowest level in the WBS is known as the work packages, and work packages should be between 8 hours and 80 hours of effort. That is known as 880 rule. And whatever is there in the scope document must be there in the work breakdown structure as well, because once the work breakdown structure is completed, that becomes the foundation or baseline for further work. So if something is missed out, that will be missed out in the final product or service. And these work packages are supplemented with Wbs dictionaries, which provide additional information about those work packages. So that completes the work breakdown structure, and the next is developing schedule. Thank you.